You'd be surprised what comes up in conversation when paleontologists spend long days in the field. Some of it's deep time in ancient ecosystems. Some of it is, well, trying to remember our fourth favorite hat. This is Fourth Favorite Hat, a look into real dig site chatter of the Montana Dinosaur Center. Each episode brings you the work, the stories, the arguments, the questions, and the odd tangents that emerge when you put scientists, shovels, fossils, and too much sun in the same place. And yes, every guest still has to answer the only question that really matters. What's your fourth favorite hat? Let's get started.
Hello, my name is Andy, and my fourth favorite hat is my South Dakota Badlands dad cap.
I'm Bret, and my fourth favorite hat is my Lake Champlain's Lake Monsters baseball cap.
Hi, I'm Bryce, and my fourth favorite hat is my wide-brimmed Denver Zoo hat.
And finishing up our exploration through the hosts of this podcast, what we like to focus on, what we spend our time doing, we come to the end of the alphabet, Bryce. It's a very short alphabet here with the hosts.
It's
Bryce,
true.
why don't you tell us a bit about yourself? We've teased about it throughout the other two episodes, but let's get started. So, Bryce, what is your favorite thing about paleo? What kind of things do you like to study?
Well, much like these other two here, do very much like studying paleontology, but I come about it from kind of a different point of view. They focus more on the rocks and the more just geological aspects of things, while I tend to look at things from a more biological aspect. I like to learn more about them as animals rather than as what they can tell about the environment. Most of my research ends up focusing along evolutionary relationships explored via phylogenetic analysis. So phylogenetics are going to be the field that kind of goes into the whole like tree of life style things you've probably seen before, but a lot more focused than the broader one you're probably more familiar with. I tend to focus specifically on our hadrosaurs, which are those big old duck-billed kind of fellas. And the
Yeah,
way like the phylogenetic analysis actually goes about happening is that these animal skeletons, each of the different bones has a number of different characteristics about it that through mass study have been determined to be informative in determining their relationships in regards to each other, with some things being more important, like the skull, which tells you a lot about how animals live via like how they eat and other things like that. And also like around their pelvic girdle is also a pretty good one, how they walk and gives you a bit of hint about organs and whatnot as well.
now,
So Bryce,
Bryce. Oh, sorry, were you about
Yes.
to say something, Brett?
I was going to. I was going to ask him why hadrosaurs specifically.
A good question. Oftentimes, when you think of dinosaurs, that might not be the first group that comes to mind. You might be thinking about like Triceratops or T-Rex or stuff like that. But while I was there in my master's program, I knew that I wanted to study paleontology, but I wasn't super sure on what group I wanted to study or even what topic I was kind of most interested in. I was very lucky. My advisor, Dr. Marie Herner, she was very willing to work with me. She gave me plenty of time to come up with my own topic. She gave me a bunch of like assigned reading for all these different types of, well, research ideas, like going into things like chemistry, phylogenetics, morphology, geology, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and having me grade them on like a scale of 1 to 5 on what I thought was most interesting. And I liked the evolutionary relationship stuff. So, well, I still didn't really know how the project or what I wanted to do with it. One day in one of our other classes, which was a required one, so for me at least, my master's program was in applied geography because they kind of nestled the geology program within that. So one of my required courses was kind of just exploring the different kinds of geography. Most people think about geography as being more of a study of maps and like political borders, but geography is a very broad term and it can be pretty encompassing. The two main categories are going to be human geography, which are more or less what you guys think about, but also like the spread of ideas and things like that, and physical geography, which is pretty much like geology and how it applies to like I guess, the quote unquote hard sciences, even though that's not really a good label, but that's what they call it.
I was going to ask, when you started looking at sort of the geography, how much of it was based around that idea of geography being about maps, or did you not go into it with that idea?
Truth be told, when I first entered the program too, I did kind of view it as a map thing, but also with like topography, just like in from the geological perspective as well. But
Mhm.
and while maps are a big part of it, and a lot of the different fields will showcase their findings with maps, GIS is a big, or ArcGIS is a big program for them.
Yeah, use its
Turns out,
government name.
yes, but it turns out that actually a lot of it isn't exclusively related to maps. For my master's, I actually didn't really end up using maps at all.
A study being vastly oversimplified.
I
This
know
is
it's
the first
crazy,
time
right?
that's happened.
I know this has never happened before, and it will never happen again.
Yeah.
And every week when we were learning about these different types of geographies, I guess, we would have like a different guest lecturer from the department come in, talk about how they got into it and like give us advice on things. Dr. Dow came in. She tends to work with like agricultural stuff with like using ArcGIS as a means of getting into that, like with a lot of like drone-based things and land surveying and whatnot. She gave the great advice, which is effectively, if you want something, you might as well ask for it, because oftentimes people just won't really think to do that. For me, I ended up just emailing the director of paleontology at the time of the Denver Museum. I'm sorry, the director of dinosaurs at the time of
Mhm.
the Denver Museum of Nature and Science, Dr. Joseph Sertich. And I was like, hey, I'm a master's student. I was wondering if you guys have anything I could work on. Let me know. Thanks. And he got
Oh,
back to me with 2 project ideas.
I don't think people understand how excited we are to hear from people.
Yeah, no. Turns out just emailing people kind of works.
I remember during my undergrad, I needed some clarification on a person's article about shark evolution. And my advisor was like, you can just email her. I'm like, how? And he was like, her email's right there on the article. I'm like, but what if she hates me? Believe it or not, she was very happy to talk about sharks.
Crazy that.
Yeah. It's almost like we like talking about our hyperfixation.
It's true. So he actually had reached out to me with 2 project ideas. One was to work on some hadrosaur material from the lowest member of the Wahweap Formation, which is in southern Utah in Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument, or to work on some notosaur material from a similar-ish area. I think it was a bit higher up in the, either in the upper Wahweap or the lower Kaiparowits, I forget.
Okay, follow-up question.
Yeah.
You chose the hadrosaurs. Why do you hate me?
Well, going back to my advisor, Dr. Maria Hernick, I didn't actually have a very strong opinion either way on that. But with the hadrosaurs, hadrosaurs tend to preserve a lot better than a lot of other things. So she pointed out I'd have a higher chance of being able to name a new species if I picked the hadrosaur. So I picked the hadrosaur.
But notosaurs are armored boys, which makes them better.
They are armored, and I won't lie to you, the Thyreophorians are generally my favorite group. My favorite dinosaur overall is Stegosaurus, and I do think like the Ankylosaurs and the Nodosaurs are quite cool. And I would like to work with them someday.
I
But
thought
so
you were
far,
going to say, I
mainly
won't lie
hadrosaurs.
to you, they are armored. I was like, yes.
That would be true.
That is also correct. They are, contrary to popular belief,
What?
armored.
It's almost like the armor is the most commonly preserved element of them.
It's true. It's because they have so many of it, so much
Ye-
of the little scoots, osteoderms. I always call them scoots for some reason, but that's not right.
You know, as somebody, and like, okay, get at me in the comments if anybody feels that motivated by it. They're not that different.
Wow, I'm gonna get at you in the comments.
No, you won't.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. I'm gonna make a Spotify account just to yell at you at the comments now.
Neither
Or
of you have the
YouTube.
will or drive to do that.
This is on YouTube.
Yeah.
When did that happen?
Like from the
Always?
beginning.
Oh,
Like in episode 2, I made a joke about rearranging the order I said something, so I said Spotify listeners and others. I actually did that because we're not just on Spotify.
It's true.
you know,
I'm not
that makes,
taking this
a
part
lot more
out
sense
either.
now.
This is
I,
staying in.
I hoped you wouldn't actually. This is pretty important, I think.
I need people to understand for as many bits as there may be where I'm like, maybe I'll cut that out, and then you hear it and you're like, oh, does this guy cut anything out? Yes, a lot of stuff. I leave the ones I think are decent enough. Anyway, Bryce, I learned something tragic just now as I was looking something up to base off of your study of phylogeny. I just learned that philo and philo have different naming origins. So one is Phylo, and then one is Phyllo. And I thought they were the same one. So, like,
Oh.
phyllosilicates is the 2 L's because they're layered structures. Because philo with the 2 L's is based off of the Greek word pholo for leaf, whereas phylogeny is based off of the Greek word phulon for tribe. I just thought phylogeny was like, yes, layered genetics. You're making a tree that has layers to it. No, now I look like an idiot.
I'm actually a little
Gotta
surprised you
love
didn't know
the
that.
word origins.
Brett, if
Because like phylums are like in plants, you think about that, right? Like 2 L's versus 1.
people misspell things all the time,
Yeah, that's true.
like,
Can't be. Nobody's ever misspelled anything before.
once the British get involved with it, the spelling goes out the window. I was talking with friend of the podcast, Steve, our first guest actually, about the sect of black magic, Goetia, and he was like, that's not how it's pronounced, it's a Greek word. I'm like, yes, but that's how the British occultists pronounce it. And, weirdly enough, British occultism has ruined more things than you would think.
Can you give us some examples?
Yeah, there was that one time where I was gonna summon something, and then the British said, Oi, what's all this then? And then said I didn't have a license for that.
Was it Archie?
It was Archie, yes. Archie was
Okay.
stopping me from summoning something in our bathroom.
That does seem like something Archie would do.
Yeah.
It really
So Bryce,
does.
How did you get interested in biology as a field in general? Because Andy and I both kind of talked about our how we got interested in geology and
Mm.
that kind
Mm.
of thing. How did you get interested in biology?
Honestly, kind of like you guys were talking about, where it just kind of happened very young for you. It same for me. Honestly, as far back as I can remember, my earliest memories are back in Hawaii, back when I was before 5, but after yeah, I think I remember. Yeah, 4 and 5 is
That's
mainly when I
4.
remember in Hawaii. Yeah.
Before 5, but
And
after
after
3, what could it
4, that's the
be?
number you're thinking of, yeah.
This is what happens when you start the sentence but don't have the ending yet.
None of us
But
have ever done that before.
it's true.
It's almost
So
like that's not this whole podcast.
the natural world has just always been like a big source of passion for me. I always like to go out like on nature walks with my mom, go look for seashells. I'd go out when it like right after it rained to like help the worms back into the grass so they wouldn't burn to death in the sun. I'd kidnap slugs and snails and put them in a fish bowl to keep as pets and feed them like carrots. That was fun. I'd always go to like zoos and museums, and it was just always a lot of fun. Always big animal fan. If I had to realistically summarize what my passion truly is, it is animals in general. Just that kind of became a bit more focused on me working in paleo as I got older, as opposed to working in a broader form of things.
I also can see that it takes a lot of pressure off if you're studying animals that aren't alive.
Yeah, as I got older, like the kind of studies that I tended to enjoy were ones that were either morphological or evolutionary, which oftentimes in the science scape of things would involve the animals being dead.
Yeah.
And that would make me quite sad if it was with modern animals. Now, dinosaurs, sure, they're animals, but they've been dead for so long where it doesn't really count anymore in my head, so it
Yeah,
doesn't really matter.
you didn't do that.
No, I didn't like I didn't condemn
You
the
weren't
cassowary to
involved.
death so I could look at his like lung structure.
Hmm. No, I remember to get my bio minor, I had to take a capstone course. I
Mm,
took ecotoxicology, which was super fun. I also I was the only geologist in that class, so I brought in fresh perspective. But there
mm.
was a experiment where so many people we were working on Daphnia magnae, these little microscopic invertebrates, and so many people killed theirs because one reason or another they just weren't good at it. And that's when I kind of said, "This is why I study fossils. No blood on my hands."
That's very fair.
Yeah.
Other than, of course, the trees you cut down.
I'm not perfect, but at the very least, I didn't cause a bunch of Daphnia magnae to overdose on Tylenol.
That's true.
Good job.
Yeah,
Yes.
you know, sometimes it's the little things in life.
Yeah.
I didn't give them too much Tylenol. Bryce, what's your favorite thing about Daphnia magnae as the biologist of the group?
Daphnia magnae.
Yeah, we
Do I even
went.
remember what that is anymore?
They're like little guys. Imagine a little guy.
What a helpful
Hmm.
description.
I'm imagining a little guy. Are they like
It,
flies? What are they? I don't recall.
they live in the Rock River. Here, I got a picture. I'm gonna
He
send
said they
it.
were like bacteria guy type things earlier.
I said microscopic invertebrates.
Microscopic. Oh, microscopic. That's what you said. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a that thing. Audience, just Google Daphnia magnae.
Oh yeah, those
Um,
little goobers.
yeah, we went out to the Rock River in a bunch of waders and we had like mason jars and we just got the murky water and it was so funny because people were like fishing because it's Wisconsin. People do fish fries all the time. And I would not eat anything from the Rock River. That's my unsolicited advice.
That's fair. One time in one of my environmental science classes, I think it was AP Environmental Science in high school, we
Mhm.
went out to Chatfield Reservoir, which is well, a reservoir in Colorado, to like walk around, take some like water samples, look at the little critters in there, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And this one guy there was a weird fella, and he like caught like a dragonfly nymph or some such, some kind of like big water dude, and just ate him, just
Oh,
consumed him.
like one of your
Weird.
a student or a fish did this?
One of my peers in my class,
Huh.
Did
he
they
got
say
sick.
like
Well,
why?
gee, if only this could have been avoided.
Yeah, he was out for like a week. I think he got like giardia or something.
I mean, yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, I also would not recommend eating random things from rivers.
Do y'all remember when we did the hike, helping out the Central Montana Board of Tourism, and they wanted me to go fishing for a few photos, and I caught one whole weird worm.
Yeah, and then you ate it just like Bryce's friend.
Yeah,
No, he did
Yeah.
not eat it.
and then I ate it, and like I don't remember what happened for a whole week.
Yeah. I mean, that'll happen to you.
Yeah,
Oh, I got another fun story similar to that.
yeah, go
So
for it.
apparently, have you heard of the snow mastodon site that Denver worked?
No.
Where is it?
It's this, I forget. It's like in northwestern, maybe like Colorado brush, like kind of in the mountains or near the mountains. Anyways, it's this like real big site. It was really cool because there's just tons of like, well, mastodons, but also like various other like ice age mammals that
Mhm.
that hadn't actually fully fossilized. So there's actually still like bone material there, which is like actual bone, which is
Yeah,
fun.
so subfossilization.
Yeah, and a lot of these bones had like liquid in them, like water that got trapped in there. And
Ooh.
for whatever reason, it was a rite of passage at the camp where when you found one, the first one you found, you would drink the water from it.
Oh,
Kind of weird.
don't
Everyone
you
did that besides one person.
don't you want to study that though?
It wasn't like water from the actual time, it was like water that got trapped in it afterwards.
Oh,
This,
okay. I was gonna say if that was like mammoth water.
Seems like a very good way to like get a disease that like
yeah, I
went
think most people there
extinct.
got sick from drinking random bone water. But
Yeah,
Name one time something bad has happened from something ancient thawing out and entering someone's body. This is a reference to John Carpenter's The Thing.
that
Good
was.
movie.
And they didn't even drink water to get it in that one.
Yeah, but like something ancient thawed out and it got into people's bodies.
Yeah, didn't end well for them.
No.
no.
Anyways, hadrosaurs or whatever.
Yes, hadrosaurs, pretty good guys. And
Audience, as I've alluded to a couple times, Bryce is the master of duck butts. Bryce,
that
tell us
is
about
very
that.
true. So within the fossil record, there is a significantly higher amount of the rear half of hadrosaurs preserved rather than the front half, the duck butts, if you will. This is primarily because of two main things. One is going to be that the hind limbs are just generally more robust than those in the front, so they tend to survive a bit longer while being scavenged, rather than like the little arms or the skull, which don't last too long. The other is that they have a bit of an oddity amongst the tendons and part of their body. The tendons in their tail, as well as in their back, will actually ossify or turn to bone as they get older. This helps with a couple things. In the tail, it helps with the tail rigidity, which helps them give a bit more balance. Hadrosaurs are fellows who like to have multiple modes of transport, so they can walk on all fours, and they could also stand on their hind legs if they needed to reach a bit higher or move a bit faster. And while having a rigid tail help them not fall over. On their back, though, serves a bit of a different purpose. It makes it, well, a bit harder for things to bite through because there's just kind of more bone in the way, which makes it harder for scavengers to get to. So again, more duck butts. Now, their back has another fun little feature that helped out with defense. So their neural spines, the kind of rectangular process that's kind of jets out from the top of a vertebra, of the backbones, mainly there for things like muscle attachment and have tendons run along. In hadrosaurs, these neural spines are actually going to be taller than they really need to be for that function, which comes with a kind of an added benefit. So with all that extra bone up there, imagine, if you will, a big old carnivore comes by and takes a bite out of your back. Now there's a lower chance of him actually biting something important. And this is reflected in the fossil record, mainly in Edmontosaurus, where we can see the animals that have these bites taken out of their spines that actually healed. There's like bone scarring that formed. So they got bitten and ran away.
I'd also would like to say that you were mentioning the defense mechanisms of hadrosaurs. So this is sort of a segue. What is your opinion of them being portrayed in paleo documentaries as easy prey?
I don't really think that's entirely fair. In some things, they even show like a singular, like big, full-grown hadrosaur getting taken down by the three raptors. That's kind
Mhm.
of interesting. The silly time.
Yeah.
Imagine a cow. Cows are quite big, and even the ones that don't have horns, their whole defense is basically, what if they transpose their body position into yours? You're not going to be feeling too good if that happens.
Hmm.
They also just have a lot of meat on them. You can see things like hippopotamus just kind of casually walking back to the river with lions actively on them, biting them. They don't really care. I feel like once you get to the point where you're a full-grown hadrosaur, the amount of things they can realistically take you down are less. Obviously, if you're younger or old, or I mean, obviously predators are still adept predating. T-Rex is
Hmm.
still big. He still take down a full-grown Montana, but it's probably not as safe as it is shown in movies or
Yeah.
documentaries.
I
Even if you
mean,
look in like modern analogs, like in
mm,
Africa, you can see like zebras are like, smaller than like hippos, like Bryce was saying. But even then, like, lions only are successful hunting a small percentage of the time.
well,
It's hard
and
to hunt something full grown.
hooves are not soft.
No.
Hooved animals, I do not mess with. They have the potential to harm me at any moment.
Oh, and did you guys see this like paper that came out maybe a week or two ago? It was by Pascal Godefroy about this hadrosauroid iguanodontid
I
in
did see
China.
that.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Bryce, why
That
don't you tell
had
the listeners about it?
Yeah. So It was a very interesting one because, well, it's basically fully articulated, it has wonderful preservation, so you get to see a whole bunch of stuff on it. But most interestingly enough, it seems to be covered in a bunch of these quill-like materials. It's also possible these guys might have just had some weird things on them that would have made it harder to get to them anyway, that just haven't been preserved. That kind of goes along with one of the more recent Edmontosaurus mummies that was also found, which showed they actually had kind of like a raised sail, not really a sail, but like a spine almost coming out. The flesh of the back didn't actually go to the top of the narrow spine, at least for Edmontosaurus. So they just had like a little pseudo sail kind of structure, which kind of fun. As we find more of these like incredibly well preserved specimens, we might get a much better idea of defense mechanisms for these guys that just might not have been preserved generally.
Something I always tell kids, sometimes people will be like, well, what if everything is figured out by the time I'm old enough to do science? And the answer is it super won't be. But like, this is, we're finding new things every week, every day.
Pretty much. Like,
yeah.
I forget the exact stat of it, but more like new species are named yearly now than have ever been in the past, pretty much, like at least at a yearly rate
No,
that are considered valid, at least.
I think it helps that we aren't bone warsing each other like it used to be common.
That is true. There's
lot more
a distinct lack
collaboration.
of TNT-based combat or throwing things that are small off cliffs. That happens less.
People will be people. Not everyone's gonna get along and play nice, but I genuinely think science is purely at a better state, if only because there's more people in it, and that leads to a lower percentage of just some real characters, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that is very fair.
Because, all right, I mentioned the Bone Wars, that's between Marsh and Cope. How many people besides them were doing paleo at that time,
Yeah.
Some for sure, but a lower amount. So suddenly all of the paleo work, they're going to have their fingers in every pie, it seems.
Especially when they're the most famous and like biggest in the field.
Yeah, they're also making most of those pies.
Yeah.
God, now I want pie.
What kind of pie do you want?
Pecan pie, it's my favorite.
That is a good pie.
Yeah, it's kind of just my family's favorite.
Oh, so you inherited that preference, or is it
I
true?
Okay, so are you asking if it's nature versus nurture?
Yes, exactly.
You got to keep in mind, I have a good amount of family from southern Indiana where there's a lot of pecans. So exposure, I think it's nurture.
Because in my family, people have different like favorite pies, so that's interesting that everyone has the same in yours.
I mean, I'll eat other pies readily.
Yeah, pie is good. That makes sense.
I also think, like, if it's not an annoying tradition, because there are plenty of traditions we've definitely stopped, but like, it's not a hard tradition to bring pecan pie to like family get-togethers,
That's true.
So then you have like the added bonus of like, yay, it's a fun family time.
Pecan pie is quite good.
Yeah, what are your guys' faves?
My favorite is cherry.
I'm a big pumpkin pie guy. That's always fun.
Pumpkin pie is so good too.
Now, Brett, do you prefer the pastry cherry pie or the song by Warrant cherry pie?
What is the second one, did you say?
The song, She's My Cherry Pie.
No, like the food.
But you know the song, right?
I mean, not really.
It sounds exactly like Def Leppard's Pour Some Sugar on Me.
You're not helping.
I don't think I've heard of either of those songs.
All right, neither of you.
Andy, you've seen us like doing trivia with the music rounds. They're not it for us.
Yeah, I'm aware. But I was gonna say, I'm not surprised Bryce doesn't know, given how hard it was for us to get him to know who Ray Charles was.
I'm bad at knowing celebrities.
Brett, you know who Ray Charles is, right?
Yeah. I was gonna
Okay,
say Bryce, unless they're hadrosaur related celebrities.
Yeah, if you want to talk about Alberto Prieto Marquez, then
Yeah.
I got you.
So you're
Bryce, do you
telling
have a
me
signature?
I wish.
you're telling me if Ray Charles had discovered a hadrosaur, you would be like, "Hey, did you know he may have been
yeah.
a revolutionary
Bryce would have
piano?"
known him.
Yeah.
The odds of me having heard of him just by volume of reading papers would be significantly higher.
Gotcha. All right, I'll keep that in mind for the next
So
musician
Bryce,
I try to teach you about.
who's the
Yeah.
who's the most obscure hadrosaur like related person you know, like hadrosaur expert?
And if you could give their address and social security number.
The most obscure hadrosaur expert. I feel like a lot, like most of the papers are like written by the same like five guys. But hold on,
So
let me see if
who's
I can.
outside of those five people?
I have this one in my head, but I can't remember who wrote it. This is so sad. It
Also,
was
bad
there was
news,
this.
Bryce. Five Guys is a burgers chain, not a paleontology group.
What? That's terrible. Fix it.
It's not that bad of a chain. I wouldn't say it's terrible.
Like, do you have any like early like hadrosaur researchers from like early 1900s or 1800s that you're a fan of, Bryce? Who described Trachodon?
Honestly, no. Most of the early hydro papers suck. I hate reading them. But um,
I mean, sometimes there's people who did like early papers that are pretty good, like
that's
Stebbinger.
true.
Trachodon was described by Joseph Letty.
Oh, well, speaking of paleontologists at the time, Copen Marsh, he was the other big one at that time.
Hmm.
Oh, hold on. I think there was actually one good paper I read from back in the day about hadrosaurs at least. It was the description of Parasaurolophus walkeri, which was written by Parks in 1922. That one was actually pretty good. It was pretty decent.
Nice.
Nice.
So, Bryce, why is your goal in life to make Trachodon valid? But I'm looking at the notes you sent me. You put by any means necessary. What do you mean by that?
He also underlined it twice.
Yeah.
Well, you see, you know how in like sauropod science, there's the whole funny thing where Brontosaurus stopped being a dinosaur and then it's a dinosaur again because people like the name.
Hmm.
Yes.
I thought it'd be funny to do one of those but for hadrosaurs.
Oh, as like a prank?
Yeah,
And you
just
know,
like make it more complicated for no
and like
reason.
every time I go out, people are always saying their favorite dinosaur is Trachodon too. So like the public
Mhm.
will easily rally behind him.
Dude,
It's true.
people are always being like, Andy, why don't you talk more about Trachodon?
Exactly.
Were you talking about these lame
Trachodon,
new hadrosaurs?
Yeah.
People just want to hear about
everyone knows
Trachodon.
the paleontology share of interest in the public eye is like 51% T-Rex, 48% Trachodon, 1% Triceratops.
Dang, leaving Spinosaurus out there. I guess getting the Spino fans to hate us.
I
Oh,
mean, Stegosaurus as well. He also left out.
Yeah.
it's
I'm
true.
I'm not afraid of Stegosaurus fans.
You're not afraid of Bryce?
No.
He just said it was his favorite.
It's true.
Bryce, I can deadlift you several times over. I'm not scared of you.
I don't know if it's several times
But Bryce
over.
Bryce is wily.
What's your top deadlift, Andy?
325.
That's not quite several. That's like 2.5.
That's several.
Well, the definition of several is like is like four or more.
Is that true? Is that the actual definition of several?
Well, because like one is one, a couple is two, few is three. Some
Several.
people include
More than
four.
two, but not many. So 2.5 would be more than two. I'm gonna have
Get
to give this one to
bent.
Andy.
It's over.
Yeah.
It's fine. I can leg press Andy several times over. It's cool.
Yeah, so can I.
You can leg press Andy several times over too.
Yeah.
That's not fair.
My weakest is my chest because at no point am I underneath the fossils trying to bench them into the vehicle, so it's the one that gets neglected the most.
Well, maybe you should try doing that more often. Maybe that would help.
Should
Like,
we set that up? Like carry them like to the car and then like have you bench them up?
yeah, like we carry them over. We have like this 400-pound fossil we're holding it, and Andy's just like right underneath it, and he gives like the little push to put it like in the vehicle up to like the lip.
I hope you're ready to read my eulogy being like, he died as he loved, or he died as he lived.
So you loved
He died as he loved. It's over.
hadrosaurs.
Listeners, thank you so much for joining us on our little mini series about meeting the hosts a bit more in depth. And now that this is over with, feel free to comment what you would like to hear us talk about. As always, I've been Andy,
I'm Bret.
I will one day in the future be Bryce.
and have a good one.
That's one conversation down, and there's millions more waiting for us out in the ancient dirt. If you want to join the crew on their next auditory adventure, subscribe to the Fourth Favorite Hat, the Montana Dinosaur Center podcast, available wherever podcasts are distributed. You can follow the museum on social media at TM Dinosaur Center, visit tmdinosaurcenter.org, or swing by the museum in Bynum, about 80 minutes north of Great Falls on Highway 89. Thanks for listening.